All right, we are going.
Okay, thank you. Um, I would like to call the meeting to order for the Racing Commission on August 21st, 2025. Karen, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, so present today we have Chair Doherty,
Here.
Vice Chair Barry,
Present.
Commissioner Fowler,
Present.
Commissioner Stein.
Present.
Okay, everyone's here. Next thing we have, we need approval of the agenda for the day today. Are there any changes? Are there any additions to the day's agenda that was sent out this morning and other days? Yeah, Director Wynn.
Yes. Uh, Chair Doherty, I would like to request that we remove the head check and put that on the agenda for next month because we have such a heavy agenda. Chris, I'm so sorry. I'm sure you wanted to present that, but now you get to present it in person.
And which one was that on the agenda?
It is item number 10.
Okay, got it. Key performance indicators and that one.
Not the key performance indicators. We still have to do that. Number 10 is head check health program.
Okay, I have a different agenda. I ran it off earlier. So anyway, it's not on mine, so I wouldn't do it anyway. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, with that change, could I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll move to accept the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Fowler moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Commissioner Stein seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the agenda's approved. We also, they were sent out the minutes for the May 15th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Okay, if not, we need a motion to accept the minutes of May 15th.
I move we accept the minutes from
Okay.
previous meeting.
Okay,
I'll second.
Commissioner Stein approves. Commissioner Fowler seconds. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, they are approved. Okay, the next thing we have is old business, director's report. Director Wynn.
Good afternoon, Chair Doherty and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Connie Wynn and I serve as the executive director on the Racing Commission. Since our last meeting, it has been very active and productive. I will keep my remarks as concise as possible in respect of your time. However, there are several issues I do need to address. First, I would like to welcome back Malia, who is here with a 3-month-old baby.
Oh my gosh.
2-month-old, maybe. Anyway, she's only here 10 hours a week right now for the next month and a half or so, 2 months. But she is here, and we do ask that any communication you would normally send her, please send to Karen Parkman instead, because her hours are limited and she's trying to go through 3 months of emails at this time. So it will take her a while to catch up. Beyond that, the racetrack testing laboratory I skipped a spot. My goodness. All right. In early June, we held our first race meet at the Eastern Oregon Livestock Show. The weather was excellent. Commissioner Barry came along and visited with us, as well as Micah Lloyd filled in for Dawn. And attendance was strong, and we will be receiving a formal report, hopefully from them today. I don't know that I've seen them on yet, but they had stated that they would be. Oh, wait. Yeah, if they're not, actually, I apologize. They will not be on today. They will be in September. Okay. And they may be in person even. Following that meet, the Racing Testing Laboratory from Kentucky, who also provides testing services for all HISA tracks, conducted an inspection at the Grants Pass Down. I think I already talked about that in our main meeting because they had already done it. But again, they did an excellent job. Coinciding with the SORA Meet the Racing Officials Accreditation Program hosted at Stewart School in Grants Pass. This intensive program drew participation from as far away as Japan and far east as Jamaica, along with attendants from across the United States and Canada. 4 of our staff and 2 commissioners participated. One outcome of the program is a list of additional policies and procedures for consideration, which Commissioner Fowler has expressed interest in pursuing. I have that list in hand. I'm sure she has others that she has not yet given to me and plan to address it after the fall meet is over. So I'll have lots to do during the winter break.
It's
The
good.
Stewart School also received strong media coverage, including a featured article and a radio interview in which Commissioner Fowler participated. Instructors were highly complimentary of the ORC's role in facilitating the event and were especially impressed with the facilities. The Grants Pass racing track, they mentioned several times how impressed they were with the great racing track. They expected something more equivalent to a more traditional fair meet. Said it was much better than many commercial tracks they've been to. I would like to thank Karen Parkman, who played a major role in hospitality, and Micah Lloyd, who, of course, did our IT support and was stuck at the front of the class the entire time handling business. SORA meet itself was great success, and we will receive a report again in the September meeting. Crooked River Roundup in Prineville. The races were extremely well run. My God, we used to not get out of there till midnight or 1 a.m. and we got out of there in really great time every single day. And the weather was wonderful. It wasn't particularly hot. It's usually really hot there. And it wasn't even all that dusty compared to years past. Again, you'll hear more on this from the report that you will get next month. Our final fair meet was held earlier this month in Tillamook. Horse attendance was so strong that stall capacity was filled. The newly constructed stalls looked outstanding and were well received. Although inclement weather forced us to cancel 6 of the 8 scheduled races on the first day, oh boy, was it muddy. I walked out in the track and it came up to past my ankles. We were able to make up those races over the final 2 days and completed a full race card. And that is due to a lot of hard work from a lot of different folks, a lot of volunteers, my staff, everyone pulled together to make that happen. Everybody say it can't be done. You won't possibly fill all those races, but yet we did. This meet also marked the conclusion of service of our veterinarian assistant, Victoria Flores, who has been accepted into a veterinarian school and has already relocated to Iowa. We will miss her greatly. I have reached out to the track there to let them know that she would be a tremendous asset if they were able to bring her on board. We are very excited to welcome Madeline Foy on board as our newest member of the test barn staff. She will serve as Victoria's replacement and also plans to attend veterinarian school sometime in the future, but not until at least after next summer. Dr. Lombard, who I see is on, has finished her work at the tracks for now. She continues to provide support and has been a great asset to us. She's not only helped with the actual events and all the administrative stuff in between, but also has been a lead in helping us completely revamp our policies and procedures for the veterinarian and the staff duties. This fall, our primary on-site veterinarian will be Dr. Palmer, also a former commissioner. Dr. Lombard will still assist with things such as coordination, encompass, entries, and communication with the lab. We're still in the process of finding a full-time permanent veterinarian. I am pleased to announce Karen Parkman and I were just on a call yesterday, and we have convinced the state to create a new classification for that position as it is so unique, and the current position it is in is not relevant to it. So that should provide us with a little tiny bit more money to offer that position. Once that's completed, we will then have to take and do a packet to get our position
to let you
reclassified.
in.
With the conclusion of the legislation session, our next task is to develop rules to implement several of the newly passed statutes. These include adjustments to licensing fees and changes to the daily ADW licensing, which are already effective. We will not be able to implement changes to individual license fees until the new database is fully operational. Additional rules are also in progress for statutes effective in January, including fines, civil penalties, illegal wagering, and limited wagering. Our budget was signed and we are pending the final, I wrote this, we were pending the final legislative approved budget, but we actually got it last night. So we're in the process of going through that and putting our final packet together. I will share more about that in the September meeting. Our licensing database continues to move forward. I'd like to extend my thanks to Michael Lloyd for his hard work in advancing this project, especially during the times I have been away at race meets or on leave. We are currently launching our first part of the testing process for that database, and things seem to be moving well. That concludes my report. If there's any questions, let me know.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, very complete report. Thank you very much. It's been a busy month or so. Okay, the next thing we have is new business and amplify presentations. Anise, would you like to introduce yourself? And
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Doherty and Commissioners and Director Wynn and staff for adding me to the agenda and welcoming me to speak today. I'm Anise Montpleasure. I am the Executive Director and co-founder of Amplify Horse Racing. And I'm very excited to share with you what we're working on to advance youth education in racing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give you guys an overhead picture of who Amplify is, the work that we're doing, and how Oregon can work with us to help build educational outreach in your region. So I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen here. Awesome. So starting out, Amplify was launched in 2020 to serve as the national youth arm of the thoroughbred industry. So prior to that, there were several pop-up youth educational initiatives, but not a coordinated national effort to engage youth with horse racing and give them opportunities to be involved. So Amplify was developed to serve that purpose for the industry on a national basis. And so with that, we work to provide opportunities and pathways for youth and young adults to get involved in racing, regardless of how close or far they live to a track. We really don't want there to be geographic barriers to young people getting connected with our sport. But as we connect with new regions such as Oregon and establish more regional programming, we really do see a huge opportunity to leverage racing and racetracks to connect young people with horses across the U.S. There's starting to be a great disconnect, or has been for some time, I should say, between people and agriculture. And I really feel as though we can leverage racing to connect people with horses and the broader industries that stem from that we're connected to. And this all ties into developing the industry's future. As we connect with youth, give them pathways into the industry, we're developing our future workforce, we're developing owners, we're developing fans who are going to be engaged with and following and interacting with our sport. Amplify really works on three pillars, so all of our programming channels into these three different areas. Field-based programming is really our in-person engagement, so that's visiting classrooms, that's hosting events for 4-H and FFA groups, networking opportunities, that is our boots on the ground, event activations, interacting with people in person. Our mentorship program is really what we were initially founded on. This is a program that's unique to any other program in the equine industry, so not just racing, but the broader equine industry. We give students who are around high school and university age the opportunity to be connected directly with an industry mentor who will work with them and provide guidance on developing their knowledge in an area of interest or in a career field of interest. We offer all the structure and guidance to making sure that these are successful matches. And we also provide travel grant opportunities for young people to be able to travel and broaden their learning experiences within the industry and develop more networking connections. And then we're very engaged with virtual outreach. It's really important that we give young people a window into the industry. If we're trying to reach them, across the country, it's important that they can see the industry and see themselves in it. So we're consistently pouring out virtual outreach and engagement and education about the industry. A recent project that we're really excited about is we launched a new podcast and video series called On Board with Amplify. That's going to connect really well to a curriculum project we've been working on that I'll expand on in a second. I want to give you guys a snapshot of what our last couple years have looked like. So even though we started in 2020, Amplify really picked up momentum in 2023, which is the first year that we had full-time staff. And so within that year, between events that we hosted an activation at, conferences we were presenting at, events that we hosted open registration for, our mentorship program, and then presentations we gave by request, we reached around 20,000 people. 2024 was when we saw the expansion of our impact nationally. So really broadening beyond, we're based in Lexington, Kentucky. I should add that in. So making sure that we're having a reach in other states beyond just Kentucky. So last year, we hosted programming or gave conference presentations in 8 different states to reach our audience. We surveyed our mentee graduates that we've had so far to gauge, where they're going beyond the program, how connected they're staying with the industry. And we found that the vast majority are remaining actively connected to the racing industry, either as a fan or becoming part of the workforce or becoming an owner. We saw a big uptick in programs or youth initiatives that were reaching out to us to give presentations, and then an overall increase in the number that we were engaging with, reaching around 28,000 people. I'm going to go through a couple testimonials. So Eric Resendez was one of our inaugural mentees who did our initial program, or the pilot project, I should say, for our mentorship program back in 2021. We're very proud to say that he just graduated the Irish National Stud Program, which is a prestigious 6-month industry training program in Kildare, Ireland. He's now working for a trainer in New York. Paula Castro is a mentee who came to us from Texas. She had no pre-existing engagement or interaction with the thoroughbred industry before learning about this program. And through her mentors, she learned about the Horse Racing Women's Association, received scholarships to attend 2 consecutive years of that conference, received a Jockey Club scholarship, and now she just 2 weeks ago started her first semester of vet school in Texas and has aspirations of becoming a track vet. So we're very proud of Paula. Dave Cleveland and Nakier were a big and little through the Big Brothers Big Sisters Foundation who took part in an Amplified program in New York. And Dave reached out to us afterwards to share how impactful that day had been for Nakier to learn more about the racing industry and the opportunities that it has, and just how eye-opening it was for him. And so I feel like this pair really highlights the importance of exposure. There's a great saying that goes, you can't be what you can't see. Young people can't see opportunities in racing unless we create these pathways for them to be involved. Ashton and Brooke Brooks, this is a mother-daughter pair who attended an Amplify program, and Ashton, the daughter, eventually applied for our mentorship program. And they're a great example of how important it is to be engaging parents alongside youth as they're doing educational programming. Ashton's mentor essentially mentored the 2 of them, the mother-daughter pair, and Brooke has since been very supportive in her daughter pursuing ongoing engagement in the industry and has become a great advocate for all the opportunities that are in racing. And then finally, last testimonial here, Matthew Skull was another one of our inaugural mentees who came to us from New Jersey. A little backstory on him is that he had actually already graduated university and had a career as an engineer when he applied for the mentorship program, and had always loved racing, loved betting on racing, but didn't realize that he could actually be involved in the industry. And through his Amplify mentor, he was able to shadow her at several horse sales. He actually got connected to working on a thoroughbred farm in Ocala, Florida, to gain hands-on horse experience while simultaneously doing his engineering job, and has since started his own racing partnership called First Rodeo Racing, where he actually seeks to get young people involved in ownership in the sport. So as we've engaged with young people, we're seeing them develop interests in a variety of areas of the industry, which is great. We're not just developing young people for one specific area of horse racing. We're seeing that they are becoming fans, they're becoming workforce, they're becoming owners, which is really positive. So how Amplify is growing. As we've started out and gained experience over the last few years, we've also seen how we need to continue to grow. So at the end of 2025, we kicked off what we called our Impact campaign, which is ongoing. So this is a fundraising campaign to develop other key areas of our programming. A big initiative for us right now is developing curriculum to get educators and students connected to racing. And so we're excited to share that this fall, we're going to be launching a high school curriculum that's aligned with national agricultural literacy outcomes. So it's really geared towards the ag education community. It's tied into career and technical education. It matches next gen science standards. So we're making sure that what we're creating is standards aligned for teachers to integrate into their classrooms. We seek to expand live programming by creating more regional chapters, which ties into what I'll talk about in a moment. The development of regional ambassadors, so expanding our regional staff, and then creating a mobile education unit so that our team can support hands-on delivery on the go. So this depicts really our aspirational view. As Amplify grows, as we develop regional chapters, we really see ourselves having this kind of trifold approach to how we're rolling out education in each region. It starts with curriculum, making sure that we're connecting educators and their students with the science, business, and careers of racing, and then tying that into actual racetrack visits. So creating immersive racetrack field trips that are connected to that curriculum. From there, it's really important that youth see those continuing pathways for involvement through mentorship. So recruiting, training, and supporting regional mentors so that young people are connected to individuals working and involved in racing in their state. And then as we have a foundation, hiring and training local representatives who are in that region, serving as essentially the bridge between our regional partners or those industry stakeholders and then the national Amplify network. And so this regional Amplify chapter concept is really where I see Oregon fitting in and connecting to Amplify, where we want to help and support you. And as we grow in this area, we see this being a multi-phase approach in how we want to roll out these regional chapters. Year one being establishing a foundation where we create a multi or single day immersive program in a single school or community. And I have an example of that I'm going to share in a moment. From there, integrating curriculum in year two. So once we have that established program, adding in the curriculum that adds in another layer of engagement, creating more mentorship connections. And then beyond that, once we have the established foundation, hiring and training a local ambassador who can enhance the connections between racing and their local community by providing additional support, additional mentorship support, having a presence at career fairs, and rolling out evaluation opportunities. So this is a great example of how this all works in a regional setting. So 2 years ago, I guess this was last year, 2024, we started working with the Illinois Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. They reached out to Amplify with the desire to host an educational program in their area. They weren't really sure how to start. And so we were able to work with them to create a structure of what this program could look like, liaise with their local school district, and establish what is now a 4-day summer extracurricular program called the Morton Urban Equine Program. So Amplify was able to work with the horsemen. The horsemen could set up the speakers that they wanted to see, the areas of their industry that they wanted to highlight locally. And then we came in with more of those curriculum or youth educational materials, the activities, the syllabus, how this would work. So as this program continues to develop, the next layer of this would be adding in the curriculum and then eventually having a regional ambassador to help with that additional support. So how do we know this model works? Like, why do we need to do this in horse racing? When we look beyond racing at other sports, we're seeing that major sports leagues are investing in youth education. This is a big part of their outreach and how they're bringing new fans to their sports. So for example, the National Hockey League has a curriculum that is catered to a variety of age groups that teaches STEM. That stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So they're connecting kids to hockey through this curriculum. The NFL supports a wide variety of youth programs, but 2 examples are Character Playbook, which is a life skills and anti-bullying campaign, and Play 60, which is essentially a fitness program that they've rolled out in several schools.
I can't understand you from there, so just.
I asked Connie if she was getting an echo.
Sorry, we fixed that. Please continue.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Affirmative. Yep.
Okay,
thanks.
one moment here. I'm gonna roll this up. Let's see. Okay, so just getting back to these national sports leagues that we see having this youth connection. The PGA has a program called First Tee that I see being very closely aligned or having a lot of parallels to what we've been working on with Amplify. So this is a program that started in 1997, backed by several organizations in the golf world. And their goal was to make golf accessible for all kids across the country, which is similar to what our goal is for Amplify and making horse racing accessible to youth. And today, this First Tee program reaches 3 million kids per year. So they're having a massive impact, and they've created a very cool, comprehensive way of bringing young people into the golf industry, where they start with exposure at a very young age and have a curriculum model that carries kids through high school. And they're not just learning golf, they're learning life skills, character building, and a lot of other tools alongside golf. They've got a great mentorship program that's built into it. An amazing. Is there still an echo? An amazing. I'll just continue on. If somebody stop me if the echo continues.
You're coming in fine, at least to me. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
just keep going, please.
Okay, gotcha. They've built out an amazing alumni network, which ties into mentorship. And so this all follows what Amplify is working to build through our curriculum, developing regional chapters, having these mentorship tie-ins with the local industry, and being really an essential part of community engagement. So why invest in youth? A lot of data supports that sports fans started their passion for a particular sport with their own involvement in that sport as a youth. And looking back at the First Tee program, they've done a lot of data tracking of their alumni to show that around 90% of First Tee alumni remain lifelong golfers. So they really continue their engagement with that sport. And so we can do the same thing through Amplify and our youth engagement. We're cultivating the next generation through our programming to build up racing on a regional level, or bring youth into racing on a regional level to cultivate our future participants. And we want to be part of the future of racing for Oregon. I grew up in racing in North Dakota, so my very first exposure to racing was at a very small track called the North Dakota Horse Park. I had had no exposure to racing prior to getting involved there, and I can confidently say that if I hadn't had that opportunity on a very small scale regional level, I probably wouldn't be working in racing today. And so I think it's very important that we have these regional connections. Oregon has such a rich history with racing, and we want to be part of helping you introduce more youth to your industry and allowing them to see that they have a future in Oregon racing. So with that, I'm going to try to stop sharing here.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer any additional questions that there are time for, but you're also welcome to reach out to me individually if you have any other questions. And I really appreciate your time.
Well, actually, I appreciate the presentation as you were going through, and then we'll ask the commissioners if you have any questions. But one thing when you were going through and talking about this is I kind of came up with an idea that you may want to go through and give this presentation, and Connie, you can either say kind of yay or nay. This would not be a bad thing to present to the legislature, both the ag committees and also the agriculture committees, or the education committees, because we're always looking for programs for kids in the rural areas. And this, not that horse racing is always in the rural areas, but at least, there's some sort of it gives them something else to do and something more to do. And so when you were talking about that, I thought that would be something that would be a good engagement. And I'm sure you don't work with 4-H and that kind of thing, but there's a lot more ag in those areas that would be open to this. And so that might be something that may not in the short session, but the next long session, present to the legislative committees. And you can do this virtually. So, that might not be a bad idea. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Yes.
I've got, have you reached out to FanDuel or NYRA in terms of producing let's say a commercial or a segment that they do on their programs?
We haven't specifically asked for a commercial segment. That's a great idea, and that's something that would be awesome for us to continue broadening our reach in racing. We've done educational engagement with youth, working with NYRA and the National Museum of Racing, but and a couple of years ago, NYRA did a small just fan feature segment, I should say, about Amplify's programming, but I love the commercial idea.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? Okay, anyway, very good presentation. This is something I'd never heard of, but it just makes sense that if you want to keep something going, and I think something with horse racing, it was much bigger and now it's smaller, and this is the one thing to keep it going and get it bigger is to get youth involved, because then they'll be there down the road. But we definitely want to keep you in mind, because I think this would be a good presentation to the legislative committees, at least to give them more ideas as to what we can do for the kids.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Great program. Thank you. Okay. With that, I think we move on. The next thing we have in new business is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rule amendments to review and possibly adopt today. And so does somebody want to go through and talk about,
I will take.
Okay, on the first one, which is, I'm not going to say all the numbers, defines.
I will take care of the whole section. How about that, Chair?
For license renewal with background checks.
So the first one, I would like to share my screen because thanks to our great AG, there were some changes on the wording that they're minor to me, but I did want to make sure that you were aware. Just little things like, instead of failure to renew your license. It's a license. So it's mostly cosmetics, just cleaning up a little bit. But wanted to make sure you were aware of that before we went on and discussed approving it.
So
But
it's more
that's
grammatical versus any content change.
yes, it's just cleaning up the language. And Kelly, please correct me if I misstated that.
No,
So
that's correct. It was
with
just cosmetic, not substantive. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
right.
Thank
And Kelly, I think with that, if I just go over the other three, they can make one vote for all four of those. Is that sufficient?
They can, as long as they make a motion with all of the rule numbers. So
Okay.
if they
Yeah,
want
we
to do
can-
that,
so-
they can, or they
all
can
right,
take them one at a time.
Yes,
Sure,
we will
great.
do that.
So as a reminder, these are all rules that you previously approved, that we've filed, that if appropriate, we've done our sessions, and they're now ready to be filed permanently. So the first one defines requirements for licensing with background checks. The second one clarifies languages and updates payment caps for scheduled ADWs. The third one simplifies application submissions and changes length of time of the license is valid. And the last one adds the definition of what a parlay wager is. So it's up to you. Do you want more information on those or in your packets? Do you want me to go over any of those? How would you like to proceed?
Commissioners, how would you like her to proceed? Do you have questions? Are there things that you'd like more clarity on? Or does it make sense? Because there are no substantive changes, just more clarification.
And just on the one.
Fine to me.
They look good to me too. I've reviewed them.
Okay, so maybe what we can do is, since there are no questions, is we will have one motion with all of the numbers. Do we have a commissioner that would like to do that? Because I'm, as a chair, I usually don't do that. That would like to go through and move to adopt the rule amendments on, and then list all four of those numbers.
I can do that.
Thank you, sir, ma'am.
At this time, I move to adopt the rule amendments for OAR 462-120-0055, for OAR 462-220-0040 sub 6 and sub 7, OAR 462-220-0030, and lastly, OAR 462-210-0010 sub 15.
Okay, is there a second?
I
Okay,
second.
Commissioner Stein, seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, I'd like to take a vote on the motion. Do you want me to repeat the motion, or did you all get it? Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the rule amendments on all four of those, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Okay, the next we have is a discussion and possible approval to file a temporary rule on workouts
And you can just,
and schooling.
I was just gonna say, you can just call on me on all of these now because we've taken head check out and that was the only one that wasn't under my name. So,
Okay.
The next one came about, it became necessary during our Tillamook County Fair. It was pointed out, normally horses after Tillamook would go to California or Washington and run additional races. A horse has to do a timed workout within 30 days of the races. So before, when we had more tracks, that wasn't an issue. But with the tracks closing down in Northern California, we now have a window of time between Tillamook and Grants Pass that is beyond the 30 days. It's below 45, but it's beyond 30. Even though 30 would be optimal, the expense of us trying to open up some place for them to have that opportunity and coordinate it and get all of them there is not feasible at this time. So we thought a good workaround for the industry would be to put an emergency rule in. The only reason, again, we're doing emergency is because of the fact that they need it before the September meet starts. So that is our request. We just want your approval and understanding of that, because emergency rules they've gotten a lot more scrutiny recently, and there has to be a good reason for it.
Okay, so it's just changing from 30 days to 45.
Right, so what will happen with, I would like a motion to not only file the emergency rule, but also a motion to start the official rulemaking process, because we still have to go through the regular rulemaking process to make it permanent.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to file the rule or first of all, are there any questions?
My question is, so we would have to make that 45-day permanent in order to do this emergency rule?
Well, no, we don't. We could just have the emergency rule and it would only cover us for this summer. But since we don't see a fix to this, unless you think that there's a fix to it in the future beyond this, if that's the case, then we should only file this. If you think that there's a way to fix this or other races are going to come up.
Well, the fix I see is that when we do the calendar, the question of Grants Pass not being open for training to allow for these works, obviously we have to look at the calendar and what they require, but we gave 57 days of training before any racing began, yet for them to open for the commercial meet, they don't have any time there that horses can ship in and start working. So my question is, when we look at the calendar for next year and the money needed to open Grants Pass, and Rod could talk to this. What I understand is there's only like 7 days or something for horses to be able to ship in before the race meet begins. And that if that were backed up to 10 or 15 days, I don't think we would run into this problem.
Chair, with your permission and Commissioner, may I ask Rod Lowe to present to the commission on this?
Certainly. Rob, if you could answer Dr. Stein's question.
Sure. This is Rod Lowe, Grants Pass Downs, HRA LLC. The problem is because of the fair. The fair it ran recently. They have very little staffing to be able to take everything down and get it cleaned up for us to actually take over.
That's the county fair.
This is county fair.
Thank you.
So as of right now, we're just now able, starting actually yesterday, to put up stalls and get ready for the race meet. So we only have technically about a week and a half to get ready. And because they're so low staffed, we actually do a lot of work for them in getting cleaned up and getting ready so we can even get ready. So there really isn't any time unless the fair moves or discontinues or something like that. So.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yes. Yeah. So I have no problem about 45-day rule anyway, but I just didn't understand why we had that issue.
And may I bring up something else and another option that we discuss? And again, we don't necessarily have to be in a hurry, and it may be best, since we have so much time, just to keep it as a temporary rule. Another option that we could look at, and we tried to do this to get some people off the vet list, but we just couldn't get it coordinated. We didn't have enough people interested, is we could look to the horsemen and see if the horsemen would be interested in doing works in Tillamook, and if we could arrange that, because that would probably be cheaper. We wouldn't have to get an ambulance up there, which was what killed us this time, is we didn't think about it early enough. So there would be an expense there that we would have to come up with. The commission would have to come up with that and have the appropriate staff there, but it would be exponentially less than trying to open up Grants Pass, and maybe a better solution.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Lombard, do you have your hand up?
Very briefly, also, this is Dr. Lombard. Thank you, Chair Doherty. It's putting the two breeds also in alignment if we do 45 days because the quarter horses are already 45 days. And so a lot of our horsemen who run both breeds would have the same regulation. Because right now thoroughbreds are 30 and quarter horses are 45.
Okay, thank you.
And Chair,
Go ahead.
since we opened up to her, in addition, we need to probably open up to everyone for public comment.
Yes, is there any other public comment that would be relevant to this? Because I think what we're looking at is a temporary rule.
So we'll just keep that for now. I think is the best answer.
I see no other hands up. Okay, any other questions, commissioners? Okay, so would Director Nguyen, would you suggest that we just go for a temporary rule right now as opposed to working towards making it official down the road?
I think that that's the best option until we have a chance to really hear from the horsemen and find out if Tillamook is an opportunity or if it's really better to do this, and also look to see if maybe California by some miracle will start running again next year.
Sounds good. So we need a motion to file a temporary rule for that number for
I'll move to,
150-0010.
I was going to go through all those numbers
Oh,
for
thank
you.
Please do it again, please.
I will move to adopt or to file a temporary rule for OAR 462-150-0010 sub 5 sub A.
Okay, thank you. So it is moved to file a temporary rule. Any discussion?
I second the motion.
Second. Thank you. Commissioner Stein seconds it. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those that vote, either raise your hand for aye, either raise your hand or say yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
It is unanimous. And I'm glad you said all the numbers. That keeps our the AG's department happy. Yes, we like that. Okay, the next thing we have, number 7, is review and possible approval to start a rulemaking process on the following. Director Nguyen.
All right, so I will call on a couple people to quickly discuss these. The first two can be discussed by Micah Lloyd, if you'd like to present on those.
Okay. Wagering and wagering.
It caught me slightly off guard on that. Hi, thank you, everyone. Michael Lloyd, Director of Mutuals for the ORC. I'm a staff member. The first item, OAR 462-220-0030, brings in line the recent legislative update as to our daily operational fees from $200 a day to $225. I believe this is in regards to new applications, correct, Executive Director Nguyen?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. The next item is also under my purview, OAR 462-140-0125. Also a recent legislative amendment that allows official staff to place test wagers in the course of our auditing duties. This will allow us to properly audit ADWs, tote sites, locations, etc. This is just the approval to start the rulemaking process. I envision this also requiring, and have actually already started writing, the policies and procedures around those components, which would also include executive director approval of all test wagers made in the course of my auditing duties.
Okay. Director Nguyen, just a technical question. Do we want to go through and vote on these individually to start the rulemaking process, or all at once?
I would recommend that those two we go ahead and do now. The next one, license application, I will present on. That
Okay.
is a little more detailed. We may have more questions on that one. So let's do the first two and then I'll go through the last two.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through, get the information, then we'll vote on whether to have it go forward to rulemaking. Thank you. Micah?
I believe that's all I needed to
Oh,
kind of share, bring you up to speed on those two. They're
That's
relatively
it.
easy. Yeah, and they're included in the packets. So
Okay.
I defer to you on whether or not you wish to open up for approval.
Okay, I think I'm going to wait till the end after all the questions are. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Lloyd? Okay, as they say, start the rulemaking process. Okay, the next two, Director Wynn.
All right, the next two may or may not be more controversial. The first one, I'm going to share my screen and put it on a nice big screen so I can actually see it. The first one, we've actually started working on this some time ago, but we weren't ready at that point to actually bring it to the commission because we had our advisory committee meeting, and based on that, there was more to work out. So what this is this is changing the fees for our licenses. They went from being 3-year, they're going to be 2-year, not until our new database starts. We did make one slight change on here, and I don't have that. Yes, I do. No, that's online wagering employees. That's wrong. I don't have the right one in front of me. I'm sorry, but I'll just talk you through this. So the one change that we made on the tiers beyond what you see in your packet is for tier 3. We have we don't have the OTB people. They would go under tier 3, and the two positions that we will put for OTBs to be licensed would be the general manager or the owner. So they would both fall under the tier 3. We've decided with much discussion, especially with Richard, thank you, Richard, who is the one that's managing those, that we require, which is currently Ray, I'm so sorry, my dog wants to say hi. That all employees are licensed. So that's another rule that we're going to have to tweak later on. But so we did adjust several of these, both the cost and the positions based on the feedback. So this is not the final session for this. This is just the beginning of rulemaking. And once rulemaking starts, we will have a hearing for this, for any additional public comment that might be out there. And then it will come back for final approval. So there could still be changes based on the hearing. Micah, you're going to tell me I missed something.
No, I apologize, Executive Director Wynn. I believe the changes you instructed me to make did not get merged into this packet, and to expand on the note you just said, the manager and owner of the OTBs is classified as a tier 3, but the staff will be classified as a fee exempt role.
Okay.
I think we're still working on that a little bit, but yeah.
Right.
Mike and I will continue to discuss that. So these are minor ones, but I don't think it impacts anybody here except for Richard. And we will keep Richard in those communications as well.
Okay, at least the process is beginning. Okay. Do you have any questions of Director Wynn before we go on to the 0130? Okay, so the next one, the non-steroid anti-inflammation drug discussion.
Okay, this is another really fun one. This is probably the funnest one, and I am going to actually call on to help me out with this on our Dr. Lombard. Hang on just a second. Let me pull this up. Once I find it and pull it up. Language. All right. So this is a question, and I'm going to need legal advice on this as well. I'm going to share my screen. So what has happened is we changed the rule, making it a requirement for 48 hours. This is just a little one that's just a minor correction. It's not so important. What we did was we changed it from 24 hours to 48 hours. You may all remember that for the steroids. However, non-steroids. However, with much back and forth, we finally agreed that we would not change the actual amount, that this would be an opportunity, a learning opportunity for them. And if people did have high ones, we could go to them and counsel them and say, oh, by the way, you're still a little high. And one of the reasons we thought this was so important especially the industry thought this was important, is because some people are administering the medication in different ways, and it may cause them to have a higher than they realize. The truth of the matter is, and I'll let, if she has them handy, otherwise I'll dig them up, Dr. Lombard talk about what exactly we did see. And then I'll give you an example of what one of the horsemen said when we brought this to their attention. Dr. Lombard, would you like to share on that?
Yeah, so we changed the recommendation for, or the requirement for how far out they could give the medications, but not the actual level of the lab test for, which is what we can track and what we can penalize for if need be. And some people decided to follow the rules as far as 48 hours, and clearly based on the medications levels and the testing, they're not necessarily following the 48 hours. So unless a investigator or somebody else walks down the shed row at the same time that somebody's giving that medication, we can't really call the 48 hours as a violation unless we change the numbers.
Okay.
What we can actually test at the lab is what we can make a violation for people. And so there are about, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, we had low overages at about 10%, and this is through Prineville. We don't have Tillamook numbers yet, but for our summer, we had low overages at about 10%. We had basically a quarter of our horsemen were well over what would have been considered a appropriate dose of NSAIDs at 48 hours. So a quarter of our horsemen are still giving it closer based on the science of the medication.
And just to clarify that, 65% were in the completely legal range of the 48 hours of what we believe that is. And we had, I talked to somebody in Tillamook, somebody I think a lot of, a trainer, I won't mention who he is, and they asked if they were going to get tested again, because if somebody had a high one, we've been generally testing them again to make sure that they were getting online. And I said, yes, you're going to get tested again. He said, well, you're just wasting the ORC money because I'm going to keep doing it because it's okay in the regs. So at this point, we have a couple choices. Obviously, we want to go ahead with the rule. But the question is, if we go ahead with the rule now, the only way we could do it before grants pass is if we did an emergency rule. And that's complicated. I'm sure that Kelly will tell us. And we would have to work really hard to get the communication out, or we're just going to have to do it the regular traditional way and live with it for the rest of the season. Kelly, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, with temporary rulemaking, as I explained to you with the other one, you do have to provide a, justification and findings that serious prejudice will result if the rule is not changed. And so I am not a horseman or a veterinarian, so I don't know the impacts of not making this change before the grants pass race. So you would have to articulate that. You would have to find, justify the reason for making the change. That's the primary legal concern. Less so there is the notice issue, which notice is sort of through your normal channels that like a temporary rule has been filed, through your website, or however else you provide notice of rule changes. But I think the primary concern is the justification for the temporary rule.
Dr. Stein?
Yes. Were these numbers that you've listed as the change in the rule come from the labs in terms of their decision levels from states that have the same 48-hour rule? And if that's the case, okay. So if that's the
really
case,
solid RMTC research.
Okay. So I would argue that those that are following the 48-hour rule, in a sense, they're not on a level playing field with those that are truly breaking the rule, but we can't prove it from a laboratory standpoint. And
That's correct.
it's really unfair to those that are following the rules, and it gives an unfair advantage, possibly, I mean, it's theoretically an unfair advantage to those that are breaking the rule. So that would be my justification for it.
Okay.
That makes an awful lot of sense to me,
Yeah.
what Commissioner Stein just said.
Okay, sounds good. And as I say, yes, Commissioner Fowler.
I agree. I'm trying to be polite. No, I agree with your argument, Dr. Stein, but I don't know that legally that rises to the level because that it has to be done before grants pass or it won't be fair, because that would be basically saying then our whole season hasn't been fair. And the reason we tried this out instead, I'm just thinking out loud, the reason we tried this out instead of making a rule was to give horsemen notice.
But they're not changing their,
I have a
it's
question.
complicated.
Yes.
Do
Commissioner
we
Barry.
have any reason to believe that there are horsemen who are intentionally exceeding what will be the limit? Is there, do we believe there's intent there? That seems like the thing.
There
It
is.
seems like
That's my
what-
biggest concern.
Yeah.
I could weigh in on that one. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not supposed to, I guess.
And who?
No,
yeah,
Mike,
This
we're
is-
glad you are as a steward. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Mike Twiggs, presiding state steward. Now, we've run into this before, and we all know when we change the rules, you know, things are time and dose dependent. I mean, it's not an exact science. So we try to give the horsemen a grace period, but in my experience, people will take advantage of those grace periods. So during that period of time we're talking about, somebody will be trying to comply with the rule change and the other one will be pouncing on the grace period. You know, so that's, I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, it just struck me, the last comment that was made. So I thought I'd mention it.
Could I say then, I'm trying to synthesize both Commissioner Fowler and Commissioner Stein's reasonable concerns, that maybe we should have set, we can say, hey, we should have set a window for this and we gave people too long and we've gone past what we consider to be a learning process. And now we're into the realm of some people are making a good faith effort as they should have been all along. And other people we do not believe are making good faith effort.
Yeah, maybe.
And so now we recognize that.
Yeah, so maybe a period to adjust to it, but not a grace period after the fact.
Gotcha. Hey, Mike, I want to say, well, I always had a great deal of respect for you, but after going through the steward school, whole new level of respect, man. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you're welcome. I'll butt back out now. I know it's a commission meeting and not my deal, so.
Well, we need
thanks
the
for hearing
experts
me.
from the team on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need
thank
that.
you.
Okay, so kind of in summary, it seems like the 45 days is something that we want to look at for a temporary rule. And the question is when it would actually go into effect and how that affects races that are coming up.
No, we're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about the non-steroids on if we do a temporary rule or if we just start permanent rule making now and let people know. But the permanent rule wouldn't be effective until the races were over in October anyway.
Okay, so people would have notice. Go ahead.
But didn't we, I mean, in reality, we made a permanent rule, and the permanent rule was 48 hours. So that's in effect. What we didn't do was change the was to change the proof of the 48, in a sense, the proof of the 48 hours. And certainly having seen the levels that have gone on through the three fairs so far, it is clear that we need to do something to enforce a rule that we already put into effect.
Yeah. And the levels are presented in this document, correct?
They're not, but Doctor, let me pull them up for you so you can see them. So you can see exactly what we're talking about, because Dr. Lombard did do a good job of putting that together, and it was too late to put it in the packet, but I still want to get that up. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it as quickly as I want. Dr. Lombard could probably get up faster than me at this point. Let's see who can get it faster.
While you're looking for it, Director Wynn, if I could just ask a question. So what we're discussing today is whether we want to start the rulemaking process. We obviously need to change the rule for the amount of NSAIDs that need to be got within the 48-hour period. So are we discussing today whether it needs to be just an emergency rule, or whether we're starting the rulemaking process period?
Oh, we have to start the rulemaking process no matter what. The question is on the emergency. Dr. Lombard, do you have that where you can show that email?
Probably. Give me a sec.
Okay, Dr. Lombard are going to play a game and see who can find it first.
Do you want just the numbers? So we're talking about moving.
I'd like to show it up on the screen if I can. So we have a permanent record of it.
Okay.
But I think Commissioner Fowler brought up a good point. What we're doing is we are not making any final decisions. What we're doing is we are moving that we continue the rulemaking process. The question is whether it's a temporary rule or whether it's a permanent rule. And I would right now would there be any problem with just having it as a temporary rule and then moving on to making it permanent? Is that an issue?
I guess the question is the grace period.
And I think it needs to be a permanent rule. Do we have, can we meet the level we need to make it an emergency rule? Can we justify that?
I think you answered my question to say of a permanent rule. That way it also gives people notification. This is what the rule is going to, this is what we're working on as a permanent rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what about this? What if, as Dr. Stein mentioned, they are breaking the rule. We just can't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be making an emergency rule so we can prove it. And with that said, we can still, if someone is a bit over, we can still give them some leeway. But if they're all the way up at the very edge of almost being over our old rule, which is what we were seeing, they were barely not over our old rule. They were at the very top, and they actually would say to me, to my face, I'm not changing this until you change the rule.
If I may jump in, this is Kelly Rout with DOJ.
Yes.
I'm looking at the standard for, passing temporary rulemaking, and to echo what Commissioner Fowler is saying, just the fact that you aren't able currently to prove a rule violation probably wouldn't rise to the level of the standard required for temporary rulemaking. And there is a standard because you're basically passing a rule without prior notice or the ability to have a hearing and the discussions for rulemaking. And, the standard is like the specific reasons why the agency's failure to act promptly, as in today, will result in serious prejudice to the agency's interests, or whatever interests those are. So it's a serious prejudice standard. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, I know that we have like a lack of level playing field because you have some people who are messing with grace periods. But I don't know. What I don't know is, whether it rises to the level of some people complying with rule and some people not is a serious prejudice. That is an issue with sort of rule drafting that can get corrected down the road with permanent rulemaking, but I don't know if that would be a serious prejudice. Okay. I'm raising that concern.
Yeah, Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Chair Doherty. How could we go through the regular rulemaking process in time to make this relevant, or would we not be able to give appropriate notification? We wouldn't have the time. Okay.
If we started today, the minimum time we could do is 45 days. And 45 days from today is going to put us into October.
Okay. So we're kind of looking at what a permanent, beginning the permanent rule process. Okay. Is that kind of pretty much clear with the four of us? Okay. So any other questions on what we've been talking about with the non-steroid inflammatory drugs?
Okay, I'd like to ask Kelly, what are the consequences of doing an emergency rule and it potentially doesn't meet the standard?
If someone challenges the rule, it can then be declared invalid.
Okay.
And what
And I see, and I do see, it's possible that, this would be a bigger change than, the works rule, and so you do have someone that challenges it and the court doesn't find that a serious prejudice result, then the rule is just, it's invalid.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I mean, it's really too bad that, I mean, I was there, I was with Connie when this trainer said, well, you're wasting your time, testing my horses because I'm going to go up to the level as published rather than following the rule, because there's no question he's violating the rules.
Mhm.
And I think I guess I'm so, whatever. It's very important that when veterinarians do their morning exams on these horses, that they don't have anti-inflammatory analgesics in their body. I mean, that's really the bottom line. That's why these rules were established. And so what we're actually doing by not having these levels as part of the rule, we're just voiding that. And that just bothers me.
Okay. I think that what we're going to do is I would like to bring this up for a vote. And instead of going from A down to D, I would like to start out with what we've been talking about now, with a motion to accept the beginning of the rulemaking process for a permanent rule on ORS, OAR, blah, blah, blah. Does that?
I'll make the motion and then I guess it's still open for discussion
Exactly.
after this motion, whether or not we make it emergency. Yeah. So I'll make the motion to begin the rule making process for OAR 462-160-0130 sub 4.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Berry. Discussion.
I think maybe we should simply say that we've learned our lesson, and in the future, if we want to give people a grace period, so to speak, or a learning period, that we make a discrete period of time and not the entire season, and move forward with the rulemaking process. Because it just sounds like we potentially get the state of Oregon into all sorts of, I think this was, and I was on that committee that made the recommendations. This is one of those where we should have thought of making it a discrete window as opposed to the whole season, and it's come back, and we'll learn from it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, is that unanimous? Okay, I'm going to go back up to the top, and again, we are voting whether to start a rulemaking process on the following. Does somebody want to make a motion for A, which is OAR 0030? Commissioner Fowler?
I got you. I'll make a motion to start the rulemaking process for OAR 462-220-0030.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay.
Sorry, I beat you to it, Dr.
Yep, Commissioner Berry beat you to it. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor either say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. This next one. Is there somebody who would like to make a motion, Commissioner Fowler?
I can make the motion for to start the rulemaking process for OAR 462-140-0125, placing test wagers.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Stein, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor either raise your hand or say aye or both.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And then the last one today on this one.
I'll make a motion to start the rulemaking process for OAR 462-120-0050.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Commissioner Berry is seconded. At least there's his hands up there.
Gestured wildly in
Yes.
favor of.
Yes. Any discussion? It's seen none. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand or both.
Aye.
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 Okay, it passes. Okay, the next thing you have on 8 is the Oregon Racing Commission Strategic Plan Update. Director Wynn.
Yes, so it is a requirement that this is updated every year. The updates on here are relatively simple. It's in your packet. Since we looked at this when it was initially launched, we had updated our mission and vision statement, which you all had approved. Beyond that, the only real change to here is on the actual projects and where they are as far as ongoing. So for example, assist with the passage of statutes. Well, that's pretty much done now. Project 2 is revamp our rules and policies, and that's we've done a lot of that, but that is still ongoing. Project 3, increase facilitation of online wagering forums. That's ongoing. Licensing database, we have signed a contract and that should, fingers crossed, be launched in December. We are doing, I think I'll be doing testing over the weekend. I know Micah and Chris will both be doing testing tomorrow and Monday. The last one, complete revamp of our website. Because of technological difficulties, we've actually pushed that one out. We don't have access to the new software that we were supposed to have to make that happen. So we pushed that out for a couple of years. It's still something we want to do. We just pushed it out.
Yeah, and these were the on the action plan. This was on page 6 and 7 of the document sent out.
Other than that, everything is pretty much the same. And then the only thing I can say for I'm just going to go straight into, if it's all right, the information technology strategic plan, because there is no vote on either one of these. Again, the biggest changes on that are around our database. And the reason for that is because our database has taken much longer than we expected, partly because of the procurement and partly because of well, mainly it was procurement. It really slowed us down. That's really what slowed us down. But we did get through that procurement process and we are in good standings. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as it was when you initially approved it.
Okay. Any questions? Any more input on this? Because going over the document, because we did spend quite a bit of time on this earlier, I appreciate the updating on what the projects are, especially realizing the reality of Oregon and technology don't necessarily go together. So, yeah, state of Oregon and technology.
Right.
Okay, so this is just a discussion item, correct?
That's correct. Just so you know that they have been updated as per requirement, and they've been submitted to all the proper offices, and the governor's office and everyone else has stamped their approval. One thing I can say about Governor Kotek's compared to when I first started and maybe even beyond is they have all these requirements and they actually check every single one of them and give feedback. It's not just a, hey, you should probably have this. She actually really spends time making sure that these happen, which is good. It's hard on a small agency because we have the same requirements as a large agency. But they give us lots of resources for support, for questions and such, not actually doing the work. And thank God for ChatGPT, because that helps with some of it. So,
it sounds good. As I say, we've got a plan. We have a plan.
We have a plan. We have a plan and we're continually working on it. And I think my team has actually enjoyed working on the plan, especially the regular strategic plan. We've gotten a lot of involvement. I think the first time we were all kind of like, as we go on, we continue to find things to tweak. And when we go through the executive session and talk about my evaluation, you will be giving me more information on what else we will be adding to that plan. So you may see some pretty good changes for next year,
Yeah.
but not yet.
As I say, it's a good roadmap. It really is. I was impressed. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to Information Technology Strategic Plan Update.
Oh, I just did that one too.
Okay, I'll cross that off. The next thing we have is, we're not doing the head check. Key performance indicators and commission self-evaluations.
Right. So may I take both of those?
Pardon?
May I take both of those?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So for the, I'm going to share my screen for the key performance. Now, we used to have 5 key performance measures. One thing that the legislators decided to do was give us some extra ones. So we don't have 5 anymore. And we got them halfway through this year. We got them after the fiscal year was pretty much over. So we couldn't work towards them very well. Of course, we were working on those topics, but also I'll tell you on due to my fault, when I look back at these, we tried several different ones that we offered the legislators, and they didn't like a lot of them, or they wanted something that we absolutely had zero control over. So we finally came up with some that everybody approved, and they made some changes to the existing ones. But when you look at this, it's going to be ugly. So let's start with the ugly part.
Okay.
Oh, is this it? That's not as bad as I thought. This can't be the right one. This must be the last year's. Oh, this is it. Okay. This is actually better than I thought. It's which isn't great, but we're 16% in the yellow, 33% in the red, and 49.9% in the green. Okay. And then I'm going to talk through why that is and all the particular areas that we're working on. Okay. So one of them is catastrophic injuries. We were at 41.6 and the fiscal year ended July. So we're talking last year through July. So half of the year when we had completely different staff and completely different rules and procedures in the veterinary to today, the last half where we've revamped everything. So you're probably asking, why has it gone down? It doesn't seem like we've had more fatalities than last year. Well, we didn't. We had less fatalities. The problem is they changed the standard. The standard used to be 1.5 fatalities per 1,000, and the legislature arbitrarily decided it should be 1 per 1,000. I tried to explain to them that that's not industry standard and that's below even HISA, but they made the decision that they were going to have it 1 per 1,000. So we would have been at 68.8% this year, which still isn't where we want to be, but it's much higher. It's closer to where we were in 22. So when you're looking at the graph, it doesn't necessarily reflect reality. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second one is percent of equine drug tests that exceed approval thresholds for controlled substances with a goal of no more than 1 positive result per 250. You know what? I just realized I did this wrong. It says for controlled substances. Oh boy, I need to change this. This is actually wrong. I did all substances, so that'll be slightly different than what is here. It'll actually be better than what this shows. But there is more, just looking at this, assuming it is 31.6, which it's not now that I've reread that. It should have actually been for non-controlled substances is how it should have read. But that's not how they put it in here.
Well, we can go through and just edit and make it.
Yeah, I'll make it edit, but that will bring us, will be considerably higher than this. It'll be much better than this because I know several of ours were non-controlled. We did have, so the standard is 1 positive per every 250 tests. The actual, we had 4 positives out of 316 tests. But they weren't all controlled substances. Some of the factor is we've expanded testing scope. So we're testing more horses. We were just testing the winners. So some people may not have thought they were going to get tested below. We're doing dual sample collection now. We were just doing single collection sampling, so that's giving us more touch points. And then we have increased the holding times. We've extended the holding times. We used to just keep the horses for 30 minutes, and if they peed, they peed, and if they didn't, we just didn't submit that. Now we're holding for an hour and we're getting a lot more urine samples. So that's what's really helped us in catching more of the bad players. My hope is in maybe another year, they're going to realize, hey, they're catching us and these will go back down. We also changed our laboratory. The laboratory we had lost its accreditation, which makes me wonder if all those samples were negative as well. And again, we've already talked about the veterinarian staff. So we'll continue to work on this. This is the range that I agreed on based on what my experience was before. We may have to go back to the legislator and say this is unrealistic because we are catching people, but that's to figure out for another day. The next one is on injuries. We actually did pretty well on this for the time period. We only had 3 injuries out of 1,637 starts that were recorded. All 3 of them were this year. Some of that, the reason we had 3 may be partially because we have better coverage now where we're actually catching more that are coming off the back track. But still, we were 163% of goal, so we did much better than goal on that one. And this is the first year, so we don't have any data to compare it with. The next one is license turnaround time. I would like to commend Chris for all that he's done. The only problem with this is it's based on when he receives it, and a lot of them are mail-in. So it may not feel like 5 days to the people who's submitting the application. That will change with our new database because they'll be able to submit online. The next one is this one is just a placeholder. This is the form that you guys all got that you need to fill out and return to me. That one will determine what this percentage is. I just wanted to put something in there so you could see where we are. I've got you at 90%, just again as a placeholder. The next one is based on several different factors. We have timeliness, accuracy, overall experience, helpfulness, and availability of information. We got pretty good scores on this. I did a really broad depth output to people. We did actually, for the first time, get a few more trainers and owners in. Those were by far our worst ratings. The best ratings came from our ADWs and the totalizers and the OTBs and all of those folks. So we have continued communication with them. Again, some of our standards have become stricter, so we know that there's some growing pains there, and we need to do a better job communicating with them. But again, overall, the overall was very good. So that concludes that. What questions do you have on those?
Okay, Commissioner, any questions? I do have one question. I don't have a copy of this. This is something you can send out to us later on.
Yes, and let me fix it first, since
Yes.
I know that there's error in there, and get the reason I didn't send out to you is because I don't have your portion yet.
Okay.
So you all had a form that was sent to you to evaluate yourselves. The faster you guys can get that back to me, the faster I can send it back to you. Commissioner Fowler, looks like maybe just for the fun of it, Karen Parkman can resend it out to Dr. Stein, Commissioner Barry, and Commissioner Fowler, since there's been so much stuff that's gone out. And
there's one thing I want to clarify on this, because I actually sent this in earlier, but of course, being the former English teacher and reading everything you're supposed to, I thought this was an evaluation on you not on us.
Oh, well, you need to redo
Yeah,
yours
so
because we haven't done that
I
yet.
will redo it and get it to you. Okay, Karen?
I received it, but
Yeah, Dr. Stein.
I received it, but I have absolutely no idea what we're doing on it.
Yeah.
If
Okay,
someone,
well, yeah, let's talk about the form a little bit. Let me find it and I'll bring it up and I'll talk to you about it since this is the first time you've done it. Everybody else has done it at least one other time.
Yeah, and the reason I thought it was for you, because for example, under the best practices assessment scores, it says the first one, executive director's performance expectations are current. That's not really an evaluation on me. That's an evaluation on the commission.
Well, no, that you've given me your expectations. Have you told me what your expectations are? Is what they mean by that.
Oh, okay.
So let me just pull this up because
Okay.
obviously there's some confusion and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I thought I was so good to get it in so early.
You did so good. I'm like, I can't believe she got in that fast. I was shocked. Okay, and we don't have to have these in right away. I mean, ideally, if you can get them to us by the end of the month, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't get that other form updated completely until I have this.
Okay.
Is it just this page that we're supposed to rate ourselves?
Yeah, just this section right here.
Oh, the
You
whole
should actually
thing.
go through this section first, criteria,
Okay.
and then do this because this defines it. So you see on number 1, the commissioners of the ORC will establish clear performance expectations for the director. And we're going to go into executive session here in a bit, and that's part of what we'll be discussing. This will include overall expectations within the job description, as well as any specific expectations from ORC policies, agendas, and other meeting specific directives. And I feel confident that you've given me direction, but again, we'll talk about that when we go into the executive director portion. Commissioners of the ORC
whether we think that we have given you this kind of direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
The commissioners of ORC will perform a formal evaluation annually, which we're about to do. So technically, you couldn't have filled this out yet because we haven't done all this yet.
Oh.
The commissioners of ORC actively participate in the development of agency goals and review of the biennial reports, which you do. Commissioners of the, again, it's your opinion. I'm just telling you what I think. The commissioners of the ORC annually review the 4 key performance measures, which is not quite right. It should be 7. Animal safety, licensing turnaround, excellent customer services, best practices. Karen, can you, before you send this back out, can you change that to 7 and add the following 3?
Yeah, could you do that? Because on mine it didn't have, just there was no numbers.
Yeah, so the after 7, and resend out to chair as well. The other ones are drug testing, injuries, and why can't I think of the other one? Drug testing, injuries, and I'll give them to you, Karen.
Isn't injuries covered in animal safety?
No, animal safety is fatalities.
Oh, okay.
I think there's only 2 more. I think there's, anyway, well, Karen and I will figure out and she'll get it out to you. The ORC is involved in public process and with key media communications. So I usually run those by you. The executive director coordinates with the governor's office and other appropriate entities and communicates with the ORC chairperson or key communications on key communications, like we just did on a recent incident.
Right.
Chair.
Yes.
Commissioner are shared with the communication, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because Director Wynn, what it was when I got it, it was kind of confusing. I thought it was whether we thought you've done it, and I mean it has, and it's kind of whether.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense, especially since we have evaluate the executive director as our next agenda item. So now you know, evaluate yourself. Don't evaluate me on that, and we will evaluate me very soon.
Well, I think all of our commissioners do such a wonderful job that, yeah. put you guys a happy face on your paper. Okay.
I mean, I don't know very many commissioners that have actually taken the time and energy and money to go through the Stewart School in other commissions. That speaks pretty highly.
Some of you have. Okay, so are we done with that performance key indicators or?
Correct, unless you have any comments. Obviously, there's concerns, which we're working on.
Okay, commissioners, any comment on that? Okay, so now we have to open up for public comment. And I think which is just on what we've been doing and so on. So if you want to raise your hands on the application, we'll do that. So we have Randy and then we have Rod. Randy?
Yes. Thank you to the chair and to the whole commission. Just a couple things about one of the most difficult things, certainly for me and by route for you, is getting the communication spread across to the horsemen when something changes. And so I applaud what happened today only because if we would have, like the old saying goes, changed horses in the middle of the stream here before the commercial meet, we would have had a real mess on our hands just for that reason alone. And part of that's an issue that we're trying to solve at the level of our board, is to figure out some way that we can get more of the horsemen to actually have a method to receive ongoing communication. We always try and gather their emails, and either they don't want to give them out or they don't even know them themselves, and they bounce back to us when we try and send them something. So it's an ongoing process to try and get a level of communication with them that really works and makes sense. So
I think that's a process we can all work on.
Yeah, I mean, and we're trying. It's just a little bit of the. It's just a difficulty that I deal with.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Can I say, Randy? Everybody
sure.
has a phone, and you should be able to send out these text messages on anything, any communication. I mean, I still receive texts from New York because I can't figure out how to delete myself from their text, but I know everything that's going on in the New York Sire Stakes or something like that. So there's got to be a way that.
And we do send out some text too. You'd be surprised at how many people don't even acknowledge that there are text messages on their phone. But unfortunately, that's why I was so interested in the girls' presentation earlier, because to be honest with you, break everything else down, attrition is our greatest enemy in the horse racing industry. Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty much what I had.
Okay, thank you. Director Wynn, you had your hand up.
It's all right. Skip it.
Okay, Rod.
Yeah, just a quick comment, and it doesn't really affect Grants Pass as much, but on the non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs, the comments that I have heard is basically on the fair meets. And the problem with the fair meets is that they enter the day before. So they enter 24 hours before. So the horsemen are always trying to figure out on these 48-hour drugs, how are they going to do that if they don't know if their horse is in a race or not in a race? And so I don't know what the solution to that is, and I don't really have a dog in the fight with the whole deal, because Grants Pass we draw 3 or 4 days ahead of time, so the horsemen are able to manage their drugs better at Grants Pass than they are at these fairs. And so I think that could be some of your overages that you're looking at, because they're trying to either catch up or they're behind on their drugs because they have to anticipate if their horse is really going to get in a race or not 48 hours ahead of time, but they only know 24 hours ahead of time. So it's something for you to, I know this is going to be an ongoing discussion about this, but that is one area of that thing that's a problem on the fair circuit itself.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Dr.
Yeah,
Long.
Rod.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Rod, you're talking about phenylbutazone, right? For the most part.
For the most part, but it could be any of them.
Yeah, and the Board of Stewards understand that there's a little conflict there as we get into this new system, right? Hour-wise, 48 versus 24.
Right.
You know, and we're not going to hammer people for that. We're trying to give a little bit of a grace period for us all to figure it out. You know, the thing I came up with earlier is, though, you still have people that try to, not violate, what's the word I'm looking for? They take exception to the grace period.
Yeah, I
know.
understand that. But when the grace period goes away, you still got the problem of the 24 hours versus 48 hours when you're entering horses at the
I
fair.
know the day before. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and we have to work through that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I
Yeah.
say, this, ladies and gentlemen, this is an ongoing issue, and it's one that we're going to still be dealing with, and that's why we've got the rulemaking process going on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So anyway, Director Wynn, and then Alice, and then we're going to have to keep going. Connie?
You know what? I'm just gonna save mine for the hearing.
Okay. Okay, Alice?
I was just gonna say, I look forward to going through this in committee. I think there is some good points brought up today, and looking at the data, I think there may be more further discussion about this as far as the fair meets. So thank you, Rod.
This is definitely not a resolved issue. And there are differences between the fair meets and others, so we'll definitely look at that. But I think we've got people that absolutely have the expertise on going through and doing this and coming up with some sort of a rational solution. So, okay. Any other public comment? Looking for hands. I see no more hands. Okay, with that, we had now planned to go on an executive session. And I do have one question, because we have two issues in executive session. Do I need to go into executive session and list all of the numbers in number 12, and then also list all of the number 13?
Yes, it's
Okay.
best to read all the numbers.
And so what we're going to do, and what we do with executive session, we're going to go in executive session, which means we will be out of this Zoom link, and we on the commission go into another Zoom link. And then what we will do is we will come back, as from what I understand, to the original Zoom link to adjourn. Is that correct? I just don't know with the people that are online, what the timeline is on that. So I'm not quite sure when we'll be getting back in. We can shoot for 4 o'clock, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. Director Wynn?
I just wanted to state that since we've already done public comment, there won't be much to say when we come back on.
Okay. Because we won't be reporting out on what the executive session is. So anyway, so those who want to hang around can, but if not, we will do that. Director Stein?
Okay, so we exit this, we go to another link, is that correct?
Right, and that was the one that Connie sent out earlier, where in red it said first meeting 1:30, and then it said second meeting. Whatever.
Okay, well,
It was the email that was sent at 7:23 this morning.
okay, well,
I just sent it again.
Okay,
let's,
I just sent it again.
okay, she just sent it again, so it'll be a different link. Yeah,
some of us aren't quite as literate when it comes to these things, so.
yeah, because then we're gonna get out of that one, go into that one, go into this one. Yeah, anyway. So what I will do is, we are going to be adjourning we are going to be going into executive session under ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub F, ORS 192.345 sub 2, OAR 462-220-0070 regarding trade secrets for potential new licensees and affiliates. And we are also going into executive session under ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub I to conduct the executive director's annual review. Okay, so with that, we are going into executive session. If we don't see you guys back on, we will see you actually in person next month on the 20th down in Grants Pass. Okay? So we're leaving this and getting into the other one. Thanks much, all of you.
Are you the lone soul here, Malia?
Yes, I am.
All right, well, the
Hanging
first
out.
half of that is done. Now they're doing Connie's evaluation.
Perfect.
Uh-oh.
All right,
Oh,
that
do I
sounds
just-
good. I'm just taking care of baby, so I'm gonna put myself on mute till people get back.
Yep, it'll be a while yet.
No worries. Thank you.
Malia was the lone soul. When
Yeah,
I
poor,
just
poor
joined, she was
Malia.
on.
This is it's still being recorded too, so it's kind of a
Yeah, they just will have
awkward
to come. Yeah, they'll have to come back in
to
and
officially
then,
close it. Yeah.
yeah, that's, yeah,
I don't want them to feel like they're talking to an empty room when they do so.
right.
Since this has been recorded, I will share with you something I just received in a delivery from Amazon. A little box of googly eyes in different
Oh
sizes.
my God.
So I can
Are you
put them
getting
on.
ready for Halloween?
Yeah. Oh, this is just a normal day here for me.
Oh,
I just like doing weird stuff.
okay, all right. Confuse the dogs.
I see a picture. I get this social club I go to. I'm gonna put little googly eyes on my picture. Because why not?
Yeah, why not?
All right, well, I'm gonna mute until they get back.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Hello, Don. You are being recorded.
Hola. I
Right.
was just checking back to see if the meeting was back.
When it does come back, it'll be back to shut down. So
Okay.
you don't need to stick around.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Can I move we adjourn?
I'll second the motion
Margaret's
for
there, okay.
adjournment.
Oh, I'm in favor. Could everybody just raise their hands real fast?
Yeah,
Good to see you guys.
we adjourn. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
See you next
Yeah.
month in person.
Have a good
Bye.
night.